The movie guys love movies. Any comments about Imogen Poots being cast in Andy Samberg's Lonely Island movie are purely for entertainment purposes only. Isn't that right, Imogen Poots?
It's because her name is entertaining.
Yeah.
To say.
The most fun name to say since Noomi Rapace.
Ooh.
Imogen Poots.
Or, as the great David Letterman would say, Uma. What did he say? Uma meet
Poots.
Poots.
Rapace.
Pace. Poots meet Rapace. Rapace meet Poots.
Like Adam said earlier. Adam is not with us, but in his absence, I will say something that he said earlier today, which is he loves any name that's a sentence.
Imogen Poots?
Yeah.
Doesn't she remind me of some old movie actress? What was her name? Imogen?
Coca.
Coca.
Yeah, not a lot of Imogens out there.
No.
And it's spelled Imogen.
Yeah.
That's a sentence in
It
itself,
sounds like
too.
it should be pronounced Imogen.
Maybe it is.
Imogen?
Maybe it is.
It's
The
not even
Poots is the important part.
I think
right?
Poots is really what we're getting our money's worth with
Poots.
Poots.
It's really where you make your money on that name is
On
the
Poots.
Poots.
Hey, hang on
Yeah.
a sec. Siri, read me back that text.
You have a message from Karen Volpe.
Oh, what did Karen
Is it
say?
tonight's attention?
The movie guys love movies. Any comments made about Imogen Poots being cast in Andy Samberg's Lonely Island movie are purely for entertainment purposes only. Isn't that right, Imogen Poots? You know, because that...
She
Imogen
said,
Poots.
She might be pronouncing it correctly.
I
Imogen.
think so. Imogen Poots.
yeah, she said Imogen. Yeah, maybe we should take after her.
Imogen. Because
knows
Gene
what's
would
up.
have an E at the end of it, right?
Imogen Coca had an E at the
There you
end.
have it.
That's
Hey,
what
we
I'm
learned
thinking
something. Did
Wow.
we? Did we really?
Yes.
No.
Hey, welcome to the Movie Showcast, everybody. Part of the vast and sprawling movie guys empire, communism was just a red herring. You've reached ground zero for all things movies and comedy. We bring the two together right here on our show every week with jokes, rants, sketches, characters, bits, special guests, and more as we broadcast from the Admiral's Club in the heart of Burbank Airport's flyover zone. They don't stop making movies, so we don't stop making comedy shows about movies, which means you can get a new show every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Vimeo, YouTube, Player.fm, and of course, themovieguys.net. Absolutely free. And we encourage you to subscribe, especially at iTunes, share and like posts, leave a review, rate us, all that stuff. We appreciate it. And if you do that...
Paul, I was just curious about all these things.
Yeah.
If I were to do any of
You
those.
talking about the rating and the review
Yes.
and the
How
and the
much would
forwarding?
that cost me?
Still no charge.
Oh.
By the way, if you do find yourself at themovieguys.net, there's much to read as new reviews have been posted of Mad Max Fury Road, Ex Machina, Good Kill, and a look at a DVD recommendation from one of our new writers,
Oh.
Morgan Kraljevic.
Easy for you to say.
That's Croatian. Who wrote up something on the movie called Blue Ruin, which is a filthy revenge tale, supposedly,
Oh.
which now I want to see after reading her thing. We're also on WBAD.net Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern. Basically, search The Movie Guys on Google, Yahoo, or... Bing! And we come right up. I'm your host for the hardest working comedy show on the airwaves, Paul Preston, here with Bart Caius.
You keep using this word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
And Karen Volpe.
Don't leave, all the plants will die.
Later in the show, we'll be joined by the director of the independent drama that could, Where Hope Grows, now playing across the country, Chris Dowling.
Wow. Woohoo!
I mean, here's the challenge, writing a script. Okay, then there's a challenge of making the movie.
Yeah.
Then there's the challenge of getting people to see it, and this one's playing cross country. Limited release, but still out there
Yeah.
in numerous cities. And
That's
numerous
really something to
places.
be proud of. That's really cool.
Yeah, we'll talk to him all about it.
He wrote and directed it. And directed it.
It's true.
Right? So an exhaustive search for directors, from what I'm told.
Hey, he
And
could
it
have
turns
started
out-
it,
Okay,
but
you
he
write the
chose to
script,
get
then you do
somebody
the
else.
director's
Oh,
search.
okay.
Then
Yes.
you make the movie. I
Yeah.
missed a step in there.
He did that move that I probably, I'm too vain to do. He let someone else do the lead part.
Although we're going to talk about this, I don't know
Yeah.
if he did. I
Do you
think
think he's
there's
pretended?
I think he's double dipping with the SAG credits. So I think he's pulling both an actor salary and a director salary. I think he and I were talking
is
about
not
this.
the same guy.
That's what I would do.
It's right. He looks-
Pull two salaries.
Looks like him. That's not a bad idea.
and if you've seen the trailer, the lead character is Chris Cocoa Puffs. Chris.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Cocoa
Good looking,
Puffs.
good looking guy,
Yeah.
which is also Chris Dowling. So
Yes.
when Mr. Handsome showed up today, I'm like, oh my god, it's the guy from the movie.
Right.
Nope, it's another Mr. Handsome.
That's a
Just a bunch
There's
of handsome people in this
more
movie.
than
Throwing
one.
Brooke Burns. We're doing all right. Let's see. Oh, you'll notice I said Adam is out this week. If you're watching Vimeo, you're probably seeing that his chair is being taken up by our dog,
Yes.
Dr. Marvin. Dr. Marvin is sitting in the Adam chair. You got anything to say there, Dr. Marvin? Good boy. He might be here with some movie. Actually, that little thing he does. Now, you've probably seen this video going around online where the dog hates Satan.
Yes.
Have you seen that? Like
Yes.
Hey, who doesn't?
Who doesn't hate
Okay.
Satan? That makes sense.
This lady says, "Do you like
Right.
Satan?" The dog goes, "Ah." And everyone posted it on her page, going, "That's just like Dr. Marvin,"
Dr. Marvin.
because he goes all the
right?
time. Does it all the time.
On cue, though.
Right. So we had Ted Raimi here in studio, if you remember back in
And I don't know what
2013.
Ted said to Dr. Marvin, but they did not get along,
And now
apparently.
Dr. Marvin doesn't like Ted Raimi, so we put a little video together that Ted posted, and it's gone a little viral here.
Yeah.
Let me play that video for you.
Hey, Doctor. Do you like George Clooney? Like George Clooney?
Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't you?
I love George Clooney.
You like Matt Damon?
He's just sitting there quietly, adorable.
Doctor
You
loves
like
Matt Damon.
Yeah, big fan.
You like Ted Raimi?
Oh, he doesn't like it now either.
Okay.
Okay.
You like Ryan Gosling?
Caught up in it.
See, he likes Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
He's getting them all right. He's
You
getting
like
all the
Mark
answers
Ruffalo?
correct.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
He could take or leave
How
it.
about Ted Raimi?
And it's pretty frightening if you watch the Vimeo of
Did
it.
they have a moment alone that we didn't know about when Ted was here?
Apparently, Ted said something to
Apparently.
him, and he's holding a grudge.
Does he owe Dr. Marvin money?
I think Ted owes him money.
I think Dr. Marvin loaned him like $20. Is that what it is, Dr. Marvin?
Well, now you can see why Dr. Marvin's named after Dr. Leo Marvin from What About Bob, who had a short temper and loved to yell a lot.
Yep.
All right, so this might just be going on.
Now he's going to make a break
Now
for
he's
it.
walking onto the table, knocking microphones over. Doctor, you don't know how a radio show works. You got to sit still for a second. Okay, good lord.
This is his pilot. If he doesn't do well here, he's not going to get his own show.
Well, I think
Doctor,
he's
hope he
trying to
understands
take
that.
over the show. If you notice whose mic he's going to.
Doctor, we have a service here that we have to do, okay? Every week we provide a service filling folks in on what's new at theaters, okay? Now, so listen, folks, you're right to come to us every week. We won't let you down, and we'll give you our unique take on the new releases in theaters. This week, the only movie that's out this summer that's a prequel to itself, Tomorrowland. And, of course, later in the show...
We didn't know where else to go.
You did the right thing coming here.
Maddie was the first one to notice things.
Mom, how will you get here? Who are you talking to?
When was the last time you had contact with her?
Before she was taken?
Who let a tiger loose in the building?
I left the MGM...
Okay, who brought the dog?
Who brought the dog?
Oh, we did. Turns out we brought the
I
dog.
left the MGM logo in there just to
all right.
make you think maybe a lion attacks in the middle of Poltergeist. That was Poltergeist.
That made
so
it better. I liked it better.
sure.
I'm actually slightly looking forward to this one.
Really?
Yeah, it looks like a beat for beat remake, but yeah. I don't know. There's something.
I
about
didn't see
it.
the original that I can remember. What's the original about?
This. Is what it's the same thing.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it. You'll be talking about it.
I will. I
in just a
can't
few
wait.
moments.
That'll just be great. I can't wait to hear what I have to say.
All right.
Oh, it's fascinating, Karen. It's fascinating what you're about to say.
But our first film is Tomorrowland. Now, wrap your head around this. The film's poster says, "Remember the future," probably because Tomorrowland, the section of Disneyland, was created in 1955, or 60 years ago, when the future was now.
Wow.
Remember? All right, Bart, let's talk about Tomorrowland. Here we go.
Well, as you know, the Admiral's Club is a spoiler-free zone, so you don't have to worry about us giving anything away when it comes to the plot. So in that sense, we're just like Tomorrowland's official website. Here's what Disney had to say about Tomorrowland, and I'm paraphrasing for the sake of this joke. Frank and Casey embark on a danger-filled mission to unearth the secrets of an enigmatic place somewhere in time and space known only as Tomorrowland. What they must do there changes the world and them forever.
So what's the movie about?
Yeah.
Did I mention it stars George Clooney?
Oh, sounds interesting.
That sounds great.
Now, here I have more details, actually. Britt Robertson, known for her roles in a slew of movies with titles that suggest sex, like First Time, The Longest Ride, and Scream 4, plays Casey Newton, a young girl living in Todayburg, I presume, who receives a magic ring that allows her to glimpse an amazing world of the future that coexists on an alternate timeline on the very land she's standing.
This must be how conservatives see America. They're always just one Democratic election loss from America where you can still use the word fag.
To find answers about the magic ring, she tracks down a crazy old
It's all in the
inventor.
election.
I looked at that. I thought it said flag.
Oh, you don't have to twist.
It's the same difference.
The conservative arms to talk about the flag.
I was like, did you typo that?
To find answers about the magic ring, she tracks down a crazy old inventor who lives in a shack in the country. But being a movie, he looks like George Clooney. And doesn't pull a gun on you. And awkwardly segues into Obamacare when you were just talking about anything else.
Now, for George Clooney, Clooney looks rather grizzled here as the inventor, to the point where he looks like the guy who invented Grizzle.
Clooney is a former boy genius who grows up, which is why he's a former boy genius, I suppose, and becomes disillusioned when he realizes that the computer never went on to wear tennis shoes.
Deep reference.
Yeah, one I like.
Yes, now, but like anything found by, well, anyone in a movie, there are bad guys that want the ring too. So Casey and Frank adventure off. See what I did there? They adventure off. Yeah. Adventure off into Tomorrowland to either hide or change the future or save someone. Did I mention it stars George Clooney?
Well, that sounds good. That'll be nice.
According to the trailer, the future is scary, and to escape from the bad guys, you have to fly through space in a bathtub.
A bathtub, Paul? Aren't we in the 21st century where everyone takes showers? But then again, I guess George Clooney, a young girl in a shower, wouldn't quite be a Disney appropriate.
But the tomorrow of the future may not happen if they don't stop tomorrow today, or maybe stop the future in the past. Frankly, I don't even know if this preview has even happened yet.
Having adopted everything from the theme park rides to Walt Disney himself, the Disney company has moved on to adapting square footage of the Disneyland sidewalk.
Look for their upcoming adventures, $12 Hot Dog World, and The Never-Ending Line Corral, and Board of Directors.
Tomorrowland was co-written by David Lindelof, a famed writer of the television series Lost, so we can expect it to start off really exciting, and then about a third of the way through it, it'll focus on characters we don't care about, and it'll never explain anything.
I was excited. Does this movie star George Clooney by any chance?
Why, yes, it does, Paul.
Oh, that sounds like a good movie.
Good.
I'll see that. That's Tomorrowland. The dog is walking just all over the table. Dog, you're getting hair everywhere.
I know.
I honestly didn't think Dr. Marvin and I were that close, but apparently kisses were coming my way in the middle of that.
Doesn't get kisses.
I don't get kisses.
I got kisses. Did you
Doctor,
see that?
what do you make of Tomorrowland?
Wow.
Wow.
Did you mention it does star George Clooney, Dr. Marvin? He likes George Clooney.
Don't we all?
We all like George Clooney.
I have no idea what this movie's about.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that, too. It seems like
But
an
you're right.
adventure. Yeah.
They are holding out on whatever might be fascinating about this.
All the synopsises are the same.
Yeah. Clooney, Brad Bird, special effects. I mean, I'm in with that. They're assuming everyone else will be as well.
I'm waiting for... It kind of reminds me of the scene in... The Nightmare Before Christmas, when the bathtub walks around and helps them to go and do their adventures. That makes me think of that.
And there it helps the bad guys.
It helps the bad
guys.
guys.
Put a spin on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I researched so hard to try to find anything about what was going on in this movie, and she finds a ring that takes her places, or
while she's in jail, by the way.
Yeah, why she
12.
got
arrested for something.
Yeah,
she must have TP'd a house.
It is interesting because that's the hot chick from The Longest Ride, right?
Yes.
And here she's like a kid, but I'm like, wasn't she like super hot college chick in the tight jeans?
She was boinking in the other one, and now she's like
well, next to George Clooney, she looks like a little girl because he's an adult man.
That's true. No, you're absolutely right.
You know,
but
next to another teenager.
But to your point, I don't know if I brought this up on the air when I went to Star Wars Celebration, but Oscar Isaac and John Boyega came out and did the first sort of presentation of The Force Awakens anywhere. And so, but you know, the clamp was down to not reveal anything because they were like, who's your character? And Oscar Isaac says, well, I play a pilot who meets up with John Boyega's character, and together we get intertwined in a story that changes our lives forever. I'm like,
he says stuff to me, I say stuff back.
And they filmed it.
It's something, let me tell you. I don't know if I'm particularly interested in it, to be quite frankly. It just seems like just too much special effects almost. It's for the sake of it, right?
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm sort of interested in it because it is completely a made-up story, so it's not like we're revisiting something that's already been done, which I kind of like.
Does it star Tim McGraw?
It does.
Oh, well, then I'm there.
It's not based on a book, right? It's not based on a comic book. It's not based on a young adult novel.
Points for originality.
Kind of exciting.
Absolutely.
But Tomorrowland was an exhibit at Disneyland.
Yeah,
it still
is. It is based on the ride.
It is the world of the theme park where Space Mountain is, where Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, or now Cap Neo is, where Star Tours is.
So Tomorrowland is like an area of the park?
Correct.
I have not
Have
been
you
to
never been to
I have.
Disneyland?
No,
Have
no.
you not been to Disneyland?
Well, I just lost something.
Yeah, Dr. Marvin turned you down.
Did he just turn
He
me down?
literally
Okay.
turned you down.
No, I've actually.
Oh Lord, that was me.
I was actually at the opening. I was there like the first year of Epcot.
There you go.
Oh, back in like the early 80s?
Yeah, yeah. We were in the ball like the first year the ball was open, and I couldn't tell you what the hell was in there. I think it was a ride.
It was a ride showing you like the history of communication.
And
Yeah.
it has. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow. Isn't that it? Or is that
That's Carousel of Progress.
Oh, sorry, that was a different.
Also
round
in
ride.
Tomorrowland.
Oh,
I remember as a
thank you.
kid there was a lot of walking at Epcot, which as a kid I didn't appreciate.
Yeah, they have like
Walking and standing.
There's an attraction there that's sort of just like a farmer's market. I don't quite understand that.
Yeah. Well, here's why you want to go back. If you remember out by the lake, they've got all the countries of the world. And what
Yes,
you do is you
this was
start
the-
with tequila in Mexico and work your way around to Canadian beer by way of sake and wine and all sorts of
So there's
drink,
an
drink
Epcot-
around the world, and you will enjoy it.
An
That's-
Epcot crawl?
I think the
It
Epcot
is.
crawl
Yeah,
is
that's
what
drink around the world. I'm like, yeah,
makes
that's what it's
it
called. Yeah.
better for you. We're not drinkers, so it's really boring.
When you were 12, it was just leaning against railings and watching movies in the round, which
Yeah.
was really weird. and you
There's
would go-
that still with the China
Animatronics.
exhibit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anywho.
And they're closing they're closing the Maelstrom ride at Denmark.
Oh, I liked that.
Because it's got to put in a Frozen thing, right? So it's all Frozen all the time over at Disney.
All right.
Well, they can't do any. They can't put up a Tomorrowland ride because there already is one. So,
But it's not a Tomorrowland isn't a ride. It's a
it's a place. It's
a
a part
whole
of the
thing.
park. Yeah, like Adventureland.
So what you do is
so we can
Frontier
expect
Trail.
Fantasyland. We'll have Critter Country movie. It'll be exciting.
I'm looking forward to you pick up a little thing that you find, and then all of a sudden you're transformed into some crazy place, and you have to get in the bathtub with George Clooney. I am there.
You're looking forward to that.
any
All right,
pin
listen.
that gets me in a bathtub with George Clooney.
I want to be part of that.
After this, and the aforementioned Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion, which is a movie as well, and more, Disney really is capitalizing on maximizing movie potential on all of their properties. And it's getting a little strange. I mean, it's all laid out in the latest Hollywood Reporter. You guys have
Oh,
it?
I have the
do.
latest copy. Do you have the latest copy of the
I
Hollywood
do.
Reporter?
Yeah, I do.
Because I happen to have
exactly the same copy.
the latest one.
I have the latest one that has The Impossible on it.
Here,
Yeah,
let me
my
read,
latest.
let me
That's a
read-
good movie.
Let me read what Disney has here in development.
Yeah. Oh,
Here's one
okay.
based on the famous log flume ride called Flume.
Ooh! Exclamation point.
Disney has set up with Brad Bird returning to direct, so expect wonder, family fun, and Mission Impossible 4.
Oh.
Bruce Willis stars as a logger in the Pacific Northwest named Doug Flume. His idyllic woodsy family is going about their working class business when ISIS makes an all-out assault on America's logging infrastructure and puts his family in danger by releasing the logging company's entire stock of logs to the river, with his daughter and wife tied to a hollowed-out log headed for the falls. Can Bruce Willis save his family, or at least pretend to enjoy the log's splashy descent? And will he be able to get his wet underwear out of the crack of his ass for the rest of the day? Find out in Flume.
Doug Flume?
We've all
Meet
been there.
Imogene Poots. Imogene Poots? Doug Flume.
Flume. Poots.
Paul, I'm noticing in my most recent edition of the Hollywood Reporter, there's a report on a new Disney theme called Parker.
I have that too.
Oh, okay, right there.
Because I have the same Hollywood.
Oh, the same, yeah, same page, same edition. Disney has based this next ride on one of the few areas of the park yet to be put into construction, the parking lot, the ride, based on the epic and time-told tale of people trying to enter and exit Disney World. Parker features a divorced father played by Stellan Skarsgård and daughter played by Kristen Stewart, two people anyone would appreciate being trapped in a car for 2 hours with. Tensions rise when an everyday trip to Disneyland to help heal their relationship turns into a fight for survival, and they're collared further and further into a maze in which there is no escape. When all hope is lost and they are surrounded by the orange-jacketed zombie masses, the only thing that can save them is the tram! Robotic transportation device from the future, voiced by prop comic Gallagher.
Oh.
Why do drive-through ATMs have Braille on them? Find out in Parker.
Parker.
Wow, this is kind of exciting. I was just noticing on my Hollywood Reporter that Disney.
Oh, if you keep reading,
if you keep reading
on that page,
the next part, yeah.
Okay.
Disney is going to expand to suspense with the property they're developing rapidly for December release called That's Where They Get You. It's a horror film.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's where they get you.
That's Where They Get You.
Is this the Robert Townsend I'm going to get you sucker sequel?
That's where they get you.
That's Where They Get You. Based on all the food and souvenir shops at the various Disney theme parks, That's Where They Get You presents the harrowing tale of a middle-class family trying to stay within their budget after they are lured into a sinister portal of the damned by AAA discount tickets. The events that unfold in That's Where They Get You tear the family apart with $12 hot dogs and an $8 bottle of water. In a world where everyone's out to get you, the family is tricked into poverty by an $18 fish and chips dinner, made more palatable by that being named after the Little Mermaid. No audience will ever forget the incredible assault of $15 light-up necklaces and pictures with corporate cartoon mascots. You can run and you can hide, but you can't escape. They'll get you.
All right, there you go. That's what's coming up.
Who knew?
I thought it was just going to be more, Frozen stuff, but no.
No, They'll get you's coming.
They've got all new original material being planned over at Disney. You wanted original? You got it.
I got original.
Tomorrowland and whatever the hell that was.
You know, that's good, though, because I think All Rides End in the Gift Shop is going to be the next ride. That'll be a sequel to They're Gonna Get You.
Doctor, what do you make of this lineup of movies?
He doesn't like Disney movies, really.
All right.
No.
We'll find out what he likes.
He's never at a loss for words, Paul. This is what I
True.
amazing.
All right, well, let's look at our next film of the big summer weekend. That's right, Hollywood. Your subscription to Remake of the Month Club is still active. Let's see what's coming our way in this month. Let's see. It's Poltergeist. Oh, how exciting. Which in German translates to Chicken Ghost, I think. I don't know. I'll look it up at some point.
Okay.
Karen, let's tell everybody what it's about. All right, it's a horror movie. Either there's another paranormal movie in theaters, or some artsy filmmakers delivered the 15th entry into his girl suddenly gets jerked through a doorway by a mysterious force cycle.
Okay, so we're remaking a Spielberg movies now, huh? Just checking on how desperate we are for a good idea. You guys do realize there are still bad movies that have yet to be remade, right? Why don't you back up the movie truck, put it in first, and have another run at Kazam? He's a genie. Maybe get Idris Elba. I'm saying there's room for improvement with Shazam.
I guess digitally removing leg warmers from the original Poltergeist was too cost prohibitive, as they've decided to update the entire movie to appeal to a whole new generation, for whom 1982 is now black and white.
This is what you would call a re-envisioned, or a retelling. What that means is the movie is about a story that has already been visioned or told before. So among the clever deviations from the original are such twists as changing the name of the family from Freeling to Bowen. Ooh. And instead of having a short old woman come in to exorcise a house of demons,
This house is clean.
They have some guy in a skirt do it.
This isn't just a few pissed off spirits we're dealing with. It's a poltergeist.
I tell you.
He's Irish.
Yeah, or English or that other thing.
I'm just saying. I tell you, this version of Poltergeist is practically unrecognizable. Especially when you close your eyes.
Oh.
P-Geist, as only I am calling it, and promise never to again, has a lot to overcome in today's savvy movie-going audience. For example, the thought of a little girl getting sucked into a TV is a bit of a stretch. Sure, back in 1982, when the first Poltergeist came out, this was completely feasible, because TVs were huge back then. Heck, there was room for a couple of 5-year-old girls in the back of my parents' Zenith. It was one of my favorite hiding places for hide-and-go-seek, but with modern thin-screen televisions, well, we're just not buying it, movie.
The original Poltergeist still has us washing the shit stains out of our underoos, so why remake it? The trailer never answers that question or even offer a clue. It's a fairly clueless-looking movie.
The hashtag slogan is, "It knows what scares you." Okay, movie, if you know what scares me, then you already know that I think this film will be silly and predictable. That's what scares me about most horror films like this.
Even the ghost is bored. It's mostly making things leap at you with a scream or causing young kids to turn upside down. It's nothing truly disturbing like, say, Unfriended or Mordecai.
Fear of clowns is front and center on the poster, as it should be, except in the current horror era with the application of Photoshop's Saw color palette, it now looks like whatever. Congratulations, you taken one of the scariest movies of the last 2 decades and turned it into maybe a sequel for Annabelle?
Friend of the show, Dave Wazowski, has already given a review of this movie.
That movie can go fuck itself. Whoa! Fuck that movie. Fuck that fucking movie.
That's good to know.
Thanks, Dave.
That's good to know.
Appreciate that. I think he was talking about Poltergeist.
You know what? I'm going to change my answer from earlier.
Yeah?
Yeah, not looking forward to this movie.
Oh, no?
No.
Now that Karen has said what she has to say
It's
about
taken me a lot of work to say what I had to say about it, so
We have
enjoy
fun
that.
with movies here, but this one we really crapped on, didn't we?
Well, it just didn't need to
why
be made.
bother doing this?
Yeah.
Make a. You know why bother doing this? Because you know you'll make money, and it's an easy thing to do.
I guess.
But you're right, which is the wrong reason to
I
make a
know,
movie.
but that's the
But you're right.
reason these days because it's easier to.
Yeah.
You're right, but they're just doing...
It's easier to get people to back something that they know can make their money back.
The week after doing it right with Mad Max.
Right.
Furthering the adventures of a character we already know.
Right.
And 6 months out of Star Wars, furthering the adventures of characters we already know. Poltergeist is just doing the same crap we already saw. They're going backwards.
And it's such a waste of Sam Rockwell.
Oh.
I mean, he makes what, 3-4 movies a year for Lucky? And this is
Does he really?
2?
It's a lot of movies.
That's a lot of movies. I
Is
don't
it?
know. Do we see that many Sam Rockwell movies?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe,
he
maybe
is
that
great.
he's great. And
Maybe
I just,
you're seeing reruns on TBS.
Oh, yes.
And Rosemary DeWitt is in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing except I like her.
Well, but speaking to
I like
this movie
pretty brunettes.
doesn't need to be made, we were talking about, earlier we were talking about how, some movies, for the sake of technology or the sake of special effects, yeah, you can argue need to be remade. Like Planet of the Apes, you get better monkeys. We need better monkeys.
Sure, you always can get better monkeys.
Yeah, it's things that are sci-fi related and spacey related. But there was nothing about the 1982 Poltergeist that wasn't completely scary. And there was nothing about it that you're like, well, I'd really like to see this done a little better. No, I don't know what that goo was coming out of the ceiling on that rope, but that was the creepiest shit I have ever seen.
But it was already in color. It was already high tech. It was already, it's, I don't know. Doctor, do you like the original Poltergeist? Yeah, what do you make of the new Poltergeist?
Yeah. All right.
Okay, calm down. And you like Sam Rockwell, right? Yeah. What do you make of Ted Raimi?
Wait a minute. Is Ted Raimi even in this movie?
I don't know. I just
Wait a minute.
Sam is producing it.
I think his brother Sam Raimi is producing it, but
Oh.
Dr. Marvin likes him. Do you like Sam Raimi?
Yeah, see? Okay.
There you go.
It's weird.
It's just Ted.
It's just Ted, and it's funny because I wonder if siblings have a rivalry because now this could really get in the way of their friendship.
I hope neither of them hear this.
I know it's really embarrassing.
Hey, do you think they'll remake The Curse of Poltergeist?
Is that the
What
second
are
or
you
third
even
one?
talking about?
After Poltergeist, apparently the cast was cursed, the movie was cursed, and
What?
then the young girl died, and then the
Oh,
older
that's
sister
right.
died, and then this and that happened, and
Oh,
other people
wow.
passed away as
There's
the
a
movie went
moment
along.
in the original Poltergeist that I find hilarious today. I didn't pick up on it when I was 12 at the time, but when she gets out of the car when she comes home, because the girl kind of disappears for most of the movie, and she just comes back at the end. She has hickeys all over her neck.
Oh my God!
She's like 3
Oh
or
my
4
God.
hickeys.
What's happening?
Yeah. So she was just out sucking face all
Oh
night,
my
and then comes
God.
home to this. But yeah, she has 2 or 3 large hickeys, which are I thought clearly intentional.
I've never
They
seen that.
have to be.
I'll have to watch it
Oh
again.
my
It's
God,
fun.
that's funny.
We had a theater experience for this a few years back.
Oh, yeah.
At the Great New Beverly. This and Rocky 3. No, this and Rocky
I think it was
3.
Rocky 3. Yeah.
It was like 1982 night or something.
And the young boy who played the actor who played the young boy
That's
was
right. And
was
he showed
a
up.
guest
Yeah,
speaker. Yeah, that was really great. He talked about how back then movies there seems to be a different tone and attitude to that period of movies, because I think you can just watch a movie and for obvious reasons tell it was made in the 70s. But to me, movies today feel like they're more machined. Like they're more like a process, like there's a drill. And back then, you could just see the fun that they were having even on that set, even on that movie. Because there's a scene where Craig T. Nelson is like doing a remote control war with his friend.
Yeah.
For me, it just kind of felt like that came through on the film, and I think that young guy spoke to that. I can't remember if that was.
Yeah, and there was a different sort of recklessness too, kind of in a
Yeah.
way back then too, right? The sets were a little looser.
Yeah.
So we've seen this once, and since Poltergeist, we've seen basically Poltergeisty type movies 100 times. A completely suspecting family moves into a haunted house after being told by the realtor with both a wink and a nod that the seller was very motivated.
It's a fixer-upper.
All the houses are like this in our price range.
Yeah, by that he means built on a cemetery. But with interest rates at historical lows, they just couldn't resist this opportunity to move into a prime piece of possessed real estate. Well, last week we played a clip from our old sketch, The Pragmatics, here on our 100th anniversary show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it bears repeating again. We'll play the whole sketch here in its entirety, as it is.
Okay, good.
And it's relevant again
Isn't that amazing?
because of Poltergeist. Here we go. Every day, families move into haunted houses, determined to overcome the odds.
This is a split level with lots of space and a wonderful backyard for the kids. The only thing, Some people say it's haunted.
But the forces of nature didn't know who they were messing with when they haunted the Pragmatics.
Hey, then let's not buy or live in this house.
The Pragmatics are looking for a house, but to find it, they'll have to battle the forces of hell.
Mr. and Mrs. Pragmatic, I've lived in the neighborhood for several years, and your house is definitely the most beautiful. But I have to tell you, the previous tenants said sometimes they heard screams coming from the basement.
Okay, we'll just fill it with cement and move out of the house.
The Pragmatics, the most logical family ever to move into a haunted house.
You're living in the old McCritic cabin, eh? Well, them woods is cursed, I tell you.
Oh, are they? Well, then we'll just clear cut the forest, sell the lumber, then leave and never come back.
No demon, no spirit, no force of evil can match the logic of the Pragmatics.
Honey, Aubrey's been acting weird since we moved here. I just found her sitting in a pool of her own urine with her head spinning like a top and speaking in tongues.
Well, she's adopted. Let's return her immediately, then move and never come back.
The Pragmatics. They're coming to your neighborhood, but they won't be staying very long if things get weird.
Whew, finally, our new house.
Get out.
Everybody in the car.
The haunting of the Pragmatics, moving to your neighborhood briefly this fall. There you go. That's
And there is a moment in this trailer where Sam Rockwell says to his wife, "What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What can you tell the police? Like, we don't know what to do. The girl got sucked in the TV."
All right, we're out of here. We'll be back with our guest. That was the Pragmatics, a great moment from our first 100 shows. This will be our first guest of the next 100
Oh, wow.
shows.
No pressure.
Which is kind of exciting. We'll be back with Chris here in about 15 seconds. Stay with us. Good news. Our second half guest sheds less than the first half guest.
Thank God.
Lord, there was hair all over the place.
Well, I don't know about that yet, Paul. We'll see.
We'll find that out.
See. He does have some flaxen hair.
He does. He has. I just saw a movie,
all
and you
yours?
could play
Is that
Prince
real?
Charming. He's got the floppy hair.
Yeah,
like Prince
he does.
Charming's.
Prince Valiant.
Any of them.
Oh,
any prince. He could be a prince.
Yeah.
Well, let's get right into
All
it.
right.
All right, let's. It's the director of Where Hope Grows, which can now be seen in limited release, but across the country in limited release.
That's good.
Also directed Rock Slide with Patrick Warburton and is the writer of The Remaining. Chris Dowling is with us, everybody.
Not to be confused with Chris Kerfumpel, your lead in your movie.
Okay, what is his name, for the love of God? Tell Bart.
It is Chris Palaha.
Palaha. Good-looking guy. Almost as good-looking as you.
Almost.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah.
It's
I'm secure enough in my manhood to acknowledge
Wait, so his
that.
name is, what is it again?
Chris Palaha.
Palaha Putin. What's her name?
Palaha Poots.
Poots.
All these
Poots?
Palaha Poots.
Palaha.
Poots repace jokes in honor of the great Dave Letterman.
Dave
We're
Letterman.
recording on the evening of his final broadcast.
Yes, people should understand that the reference is in
The
regards
Oklahoma.
to, yes.
Yeah.
It is an homage to the
great.
moment that we're experiencing, which is his final goodbye. But hello to Chris.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, this is a movie. Well, I'll let you tell everybody what it's about. Well, you know what? Tell them a little bit of what it's about. Then I got a little clip from the trailer, which will reinforce what you're talking about.
You tell us what it's about, then we'll tell you what it's about.
Fair enough. You guys probably do a better version, too. I mean, I'm bad at the elevator pitch, but I will say it is about a man who was a professional baseball player, and he's kind of had that fall from grace. He's back in a small town where he used to be a hero. He's trying to make it work with his 17-year-old daughter, and he's kind of broken, sleepwalking through life, and he meets an individual with Down syndrome that works at the grocery store. And that character, Produce, who has the Down syndrome, starts to kind of change his life and become this conduit for change, and really becomes a hero just by the way he looks at life with kind of this faith, hope, and love type, his mentality.
All right, well, let's play. This is a little bit about the opening of the guy, Campbell. What's his first name?
Calvin
Campbell. That's right, the former baseball player. This little clip from the preview give you an idea of what he's all about.
I think there's somebody here tonight who deserves just a little bit of recognition. It's not because he's a regular here at Stevie Ray's, or even because he was a Detroit Tiger. Simply because it's his birthday. Give it up for Calvin Campbell.
You drunk again, Mr. Campbell?
Where do you think you're going?
Out with Colt?
No, you were 16 years old.
I'm 17, Dad.
What happened to us spending my birthday together?
I don't know.
What time did you get home?
Late? Don't you think it's about time you got a real job again, Dad?
How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Even when I'm doing bad, I'm doing good.
Have a magnificent day.
So at the very end of the clip there, that's Produce. And they share
Which
a
we
hug.
never
He hugs
find,
everybody.
We never find out his real name, right? He's like kind of like Tyler Durden Jack from Fight Club. We don't know who he is. You know what? He's a lot like Jack from Fight Club.
Yeah.
It is a lot like the movie is a lot.
You might
like
be steering people in another direction.
Anyways. Can I just say real quick? Just I want to cut back something really quick. I just wanted to say that I really, really like the Pragmatics.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted before we move on, I wanted to throw that out there. It was very. It reminded me of, and I was going to say this earlier. Listen to you guys. My favorite TV show of all time is The State. And, and I don't know why I was just envisioning those guys playing the Pragmatics as the delivery and stuff. I just gonna say it was very enjoyable.
Thank you. I'll take that.
We should have him back.
I like that. He's my favorite guest.
I want to dip my balls in the State.
Absolutely.
I love that show.
It's
a great show.
So we don't find out his name. And so I have a question about that actor. Because you have actually some really good actors. Chris Palaha, good-looking man. Good-looking. Great. No, he's really
fine-looking gentleman.
He's really. I really enjoyed his.
You are caught up.
Yeah, he's in love.
Really?
He's a good-looking guy. But he was a very charming actor. You also have Winnie Cooper in here.
Yes, her name is Danica McKellar.
Whatever, Winnie Cooper, and you have William Zabka.
No. He's Billy.
Billy Zabka.
No, he's William Zabka.
And I love that he gets a sniff in. Did you notice that? Did you direct the sniff? So
Oh,
people
my
who
gosh.
might not know right off the top of their head, Billy Zabka is the bad guy from Karate Kid.
Johnny Lawrence.
Yeah.
Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid. And he has that signature sniff that he's actually doing in a Buffalo Wild Wings commercial right now. And he sniffs, and he sneaks one in on you.
No, it was not a sneak.
Very
I'm not saying I was throwing it back, but my point is, that was there was an editing down of the amount of sniffs we got in there.
Oh my god!
It was very sniff friendly. It was cold out. It was cold out that night.
That's his
but
go-to move?
I think the
That's
go-to move might have been the
amazing.
sniff. Yeah, it was great.
And not to answer the question for you, you can answer freely, but he was great to work with, right? He's,
Oh yeah,
he's gotta be
Billy's
hilarious.
amazing,
Right?
Yeah, dude, such a good.
Because he's such an ass.
Yeah,
He just turns into an ass in this movie all of a sudden. At the beginning, he's not, right?
Yeah, no, he's great. Yeah, great dude. Definitely an ass in movies.
In
For
movies,
sure.
yeah, he's a total great on-screen
Yeah, but that's
ass.
what we're
He's the
saying,
quintessential '80s. I mean, that's who he is. The '80s.
Now,
bad
Chris
guy, the 80s ass.
Palaha has a great on-screen ass.
Oh,
Billy
stop
Zabka
it.
is.
I think you're going
an
to need to
on-screen.
get Chris's phone number.
Yeah, I mean, I can
crazy.
get him up here if you guys want. I mean, it might be a little
We're not going to look at Chris
uncomfortable,
Dowling. It's like the same thing. It's like
So Zabka plays a good friend of our main character. As you saw from that clip, as you heard from that clip, he's dealing with alcoholism, and he's not being such a great father. That's all dealing with the post-baseball career that's also probably troubling him, and all this is just sort of crashing down on him, and that's when, of course, he needs to meet Produce. But Zabka's sort of the buddy who's really no help in helping him out. Let's get a drink, and the guy's dealing with alcoholism, and so.
Here's something I was noticing whenever I think Produce is doing that move. I think he's brilliant. He's got a really great move because he's this.
Does he do the sniff too?
No.
Oh, okay.
He is so loving
Got the
and
hug.
wonderful, and he's got the hug, and that means he can hug everyone. He hugs everyone. The first time we meet him, he's hugging a hot blonde chick.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a smart dude. He's the smartest one in the movie.
I'm going to steal that move.
I'm just saying.
And if anyone asks, I have that.
nobody has a problem with it.
Yes,
Hugs
sir.
everybody.
Bart, I don't know if you can get away with the same way that Produce gets away with it.
I'll sniff and then go in for the hug and then shrug. No, but I actually did have a question at the end of all that, which is, how do you cast for that? Is it somebody you have in mind? Is it a movie that you have in mind and you say, I can build it around this guy? Or is it an idea you have and then let's just be very frank. It's a challenging part to cast because the individual needs to be a Down syndrome individual.
Yeah, I know. It was super. Well, I was going to say, it
can
was
act.
super cool. And he'd never acted before when you saw the film. That's his first time to
He
ever act.
was great.
And he's really
Yeah.
good. He's really, really good in it. But, we actually had like a worldwide search. I had this Shakespearean actor from Australia who sent in a tape, and he was awesome, But
But he was pretending to have Down syndrome?
No. This is a real Shakespearean. Yeah. No pretending. These are all
treading very lightly.
Good for him. That is great.
Yeah. No, but that's just it. It's all these actors with Down syndrome. But it was great because like a studio, they would go find someone to play special needs, or they would make it happen.
Yeah, go get a Dustin Hoffman.
There you go.
Did you get Dustin's tape?
Yeah.
Well, if we did get Dustin, who knows what we'd have done there? But, no. And so we had this worldwide search. We had all these actors coming through, and we knew we were shooting Kentucky, and all these people in Kentucky were like, "You have to meet this guy, David DeSanctis. Even though he's never acted before, you have to meet him." And so he sent in a tape. His acting wasn't the best in the tape, but dude, you could just tell he was a star, and he had this personality that was so magical. And so we're just like, you know what? He's going to be. First time movie, he's going to be sleeping in his bed at night. He's got a support system with him. He's going to be our X factor anyway, so let's roll the dice. And so we did.
So he was local. He was in Kentucky.
Yeah, he was a local dude.
That's smart.
And he does use that move very effectively. It's not just a character program.
Right?
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's a smart dude. Look, dude, he's a 22-year-old dude. He wants to talk about girls.
He's like, look, if I have to hug
sports
3 dudes just to hug that one chick, just so I can play it off like this is what I'm up to, I'll do it, man.
Totally worth it.
I'll hug some dudes just to get down there.
Well, in college, my dad was determined that a lot of my gay friends were just smart. Because he's like,
they're usually pretty bright people.
You ever notice they get to hang out with the girls all the time, and they're always going, like, they'll come over and we'll all be in our 90s and stuff. We don't think anything of it. He's like, I don't know if they're gay or just
That's like
smart.
the best insult. You're not gay, you're just smart.
Well, that was always the male cheerleader argument in high school. Do you remember?
Yeah. Does he have that much spirit? He doesn't.
Yes, he
All of the cheerleaders have to sit on his hand. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. What were the challenges in directing then? Not only a first-time actor, but a first-time actor who has Down syndrome.
It's cool because walking into it, my wife, she was like, "Oh, you got to do all this research on Down syndrome, and you got to do this and that." And I said, "I'm just gonna go in there and I'm just going to treat him like a dude and see what happens." And so I did. I walked in there, and I had no idea anything about Down syndrome. It actually was pretty embarrassing the first time I went in there because we sat down and I looked at him, and I was like, I don't know if this dude can read because I just didn't do any research. And so I looked at him and said, "Hey, man, can you read all this?" And he looked me dead in the eye, just like right in my eye. And he looked. He's dramatic, anyways. He licked his thumb and he goes, "Oh, Dowling," and he had already memorized all of his lines. It was crazy. Wow. It was crazy. And I turned to my DP, who was right there, and I said, "Dude, we're gonna be all right." Because it was a little nerve wracking going into that. Like I didn't know what to expect, and so, but that's just it. That's what's so great about this film is like David just keeps defying and shattering stereotypes. Because going into it, like I had my limitations that I'd put on him and my preconceived ideas of what he was gonna be able to do, and then the dude just eviscerated him like done.
And let's be honest. Let's just to be very frank, all actors kind of special needs, right? They're all kind of.
I've worked with
they all have special needs
that don't have their lines memorized.
Right, exactly. That's all I'm saying. They're a little cranky. Yeah. They're a little temperamental.
I bet he showed up on time. He was lovely, gave you hugs, and knew his lines. I bet he even smelled good. I've worked with worse. Yes. Just saying.
I do have a question about a particular scene. I don't think we're giving anything away here. There's a scene where he rattles off the SKU numbers for all the produce.
Cool, yeah.
And I'm watching that, and I'm thinking, okay, there's a couple ways you can do. There's 2 ways you can do that. You can just say, "Hey, guy, make up some numbers," or actually remember these numbers. What was your tack on?
No, they were actually real. There was most of them real numbers, and then he started throwing in random ones, and we just kept them. So
yeah.
I mean, because
you're not going to know.
Yeah, I think the fruit is like all starts like 4s or something. And all of a sudden, he starts throwing in some random numbers. So if you are a true fruit aficionado, you will know and you can call it out. But otherwise, you're not going to know the difference.
This movie's crap.
You know what? I
That's
do that.
The way it works, though.
I do that with people who play guitar in a movie. If they're not doing some sort of chords that I can recognize, I get angry. So if he's not skewing 4s.
Karen had a problem with Spider-Man because why would Kirsten Dunst come from her job waiting tables in heels?
In heels. She's like, "I'm tired. I've been working all night." And these were not just 1 or 2 inch heels. They're like gorgeous 3 inch heels. I'm like, honey.
You have talked about no other part of that movie.
No, because who would do that?
Maybe she does the reverse of what the girls at my office do. The girls
they
at
put on tennis shoes and they go home.
Yeah, the girls at my office wear the heels around the office and then the tennis shoes home, but she wears them at work and then the heels home.
But that's some of the beauty of what we were talking about earlier. You guys were talking about like the 70s, 80s films where just had the kind of this vibe and you kind of went with it. Like we're so hypercritical now because I'm in the same boat. Like things you watch now, you're like you really couldn't make a DeLorean that could travel back and but like you do it. But like you were so accepting in the 80s. You're like, "Oh, it's just fun. This is cool. Like she's wearing high heels and she's a waitress. Totally awesome."
Right.
Like,
of course you could put a 5-year-old in the TV. That happens all the time. I'd get stuck in there all the time with that.
Hey, if Lucille Ball can go in the TV, why go to 5-year-old?
Do you have kids?
I do. I've got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and 2 little girls.
Put them in the TV.
Put them in the TV. If you're ever looking for them, they might be in the TV.
Are you ready for them to talk the way that,
that was crazy.
Kate did in your movie? Kate is Calvin's daughter, who has a mouth on her at the top. But I thought that's accurate.
Yeah.
How old is she in that movie?
17.
17.
Right.
She tells you as
she
much.
corrects him. Yeah,
she corrects him.
If I talked to like that to my parents, oh my God.
Do we are we ever told where mom is?
No, which I love that question because that was something where the producers were like, oh, we have to explain away where that is, and for me, we don't have to. And I always find movies more interesting when you give the audience a little credit and let them kind of fill in the blanks. And so I said to these guys, I was like, so okay, I'm gonna let you guys tell me what you think where she is, and I'm gonna tell you what I would write, and then you tell me what you think. And so they were like, oh, well, one person was like, well, she died, and the other person was like, well, a drunk driver hit her. And I was like, I just think that she bounced when she figured out he wasn't gonna be a big star, and she kind of left him. And then they were like, oh, no, that's not what you're thinking. And I was like, great. So why don't you keep thinking what makes the most sense to you? I'll keep making what most sense to me, and then let the audience figure out what makes the most sense to them, and let's run with it. And so that's kind of why we left that open.
It just occurred to me right now after having watched the movie that wait a minute, it's never explained, so it doesn't even matter.
You brought it up at the same time. I never thought
But it's also it's like in the movies. I hate this when there's so much exposition. It's like she's been gone for whatever 10 years, and suddenly you're going to talk about like, oh well, ever since mom's been gone. It's like no, you don't talk about that anymore.
And also, whenever you meet somebody like we're meeting you for the first time tonight, and if there's something that I don't exactly know all the answers to, I'm not going to be here hoping that you explain it all to me.
Right.
If all of a sudden there's a woman with you and I think, oh, he wasn't introducing me, that wasn't his wife, or if it's a second wife, I don't go, what happened to your first wife?
Yeah.
No one does that. So that's why it's a nice thing to not exactly, write it out and give it that.
Random fun fact, it just occurred to me.
Fun fact.
Just occurred to me that in To Kill a Mockingbird, they don't explain where mom is. So you're on par with To
She
Kill a
bounced.
Mockingbird as far as I'm concerned.
She bounced because he wasn't going to make it big. He wasn't going to be, so she bounced.
He's going to be one of those big time
He's not gonna be
Perry Mason attorneys.
I was going to say he's not going to be part of the what's that damn court of the
Supreme?
land? Yeah. So she bounced. She's like, screw this.
The damn court of the land.
But
I'm out.
did you when you wrote those scenes though with Kate talking back to her dad up at the top, she's like, "Get a job and you're a loser." I mean, he deserves a lot of that stuff. But we were just watching the TV show Bloodline.
Whoa, that
and there's
kid.
a scene where the parents need to tell the kids, "You're in danger, so beware for this and this and this." And, the
And
kids
don't
just
do
want-
something and we told you.
And they just don't want to hear from it. So they literally say, "Are we done here?" It's like, okay, I don't want to play like kids today, but are we
Really?
done here? I've never said that to
Who
me.
here could say, are we done here to their family?
But I believe it happens today, and I believe that's accurately reflected in Bloodline and in your film with the mouthy teen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think honestly, obviously, the Katie Calvin relationship in the film is basically she's looking for any kind of anything from her dad and not getting it, and so even if it's like trying to get a rise out of him and he just doesn't get it, but ultimately, I think also this generation of kids with like, I'm shocked what people put on Facebook and Instagram and how disrespectful, and I mean, it just kind of it's where we're at right now, and so I think like I would have never said that. I couldn't imagine my friends saying that to their parents, but ultimately, I look around now and I see people saying that to their parents on Facebook, so everyone can see it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so I think it's where we're at. Sadly, strangely,
Yeah.
There's
I
a
agree,
Doritos
I agree.
commercial.
So I thought those scenes were authentic.
There's
Thank
a
you.
Doritos commercial where mom's coming in from the minivan and the two snots are in the front yard.
How old are the snots so I can paint the picture?
Snots are like 6 snot, 9 snot.
Okay.
Right? And the 9 snot's the one's going to go piping off in this story, right?
Yeah.
So she says, "Hey guys, can you help me into the house?" And all right, she says, "Can I get a hand?" And he's like, "I don't know, can you?" I mean, that's the line in the commercial. I don't know, can you? And then she shrugs it off like, "Well, I guess you won't get some Doritos." And they're like, "Oh, Doritos, we'll do that for Doritos, but screw you, Mom."
Well, Chris, you've picked up our slack kid-wise.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, so
Karen and I are going down that road.
whenever I was watching your movie, I thought of something I saw on, I want to say TV, somewhere on a news type program, or maybe even on the Facebook. Because one morning I woke up, because I like to look at the Facebook when I'm waking up, and I just decided to get rid of anything on my feed that didn't make me feel good. So I got rid of all sorts. I didn't unfriend people.
How do you do that?
You can just hide them from your timeline.
Oh, can you automate it?
Unsubscribe. is
Yeah,
the word.
unsubscribe.
Yep, and so what you do is I just went through, and if it wasn't a doggy video or a story about things that made me happy, I got rid of it. So lately, I scroll and it's just lovely. There's also, and it's
I
always
need
Bill Murray stories and all these lovely things, and then it's like a cat that's best friends with an elephant. Anyway, so I was scrolling. I was scrolling through my morning feed of animal stories, and up came a story, a feel-good story about a man with Down syndrome who's he's a little older than your guy. He's probably about 30 maybe, and he loved working at this store, and somehow the people there helped him buy the store. It's like a grocery store. Have you heard this?
It's a restaurant. It's a diner.
A diner.
I think it's called Tim's Place.
Yes, and he hugs everybody.
Yeah.
And people go there, and he loves working there, and he loves helping people, and he always gives everybody a hug. And
Yeah.
I was wondering if that inspired you at all.
I've seen that since the movie, but it is awesome. And I think at some point we tried to hang out with Tim because he's like Midwest somewhere, and I can't.
He's very
remember.
busy.
He is a very busy man.
He
He's
works
running a
there
business
every day.
Yeah. So
he's a captain of industry.
He's working. He's got stuff going on.
Yeah, but that's part of it too. Part of that shattering the stereotype. Like you just see, like individuals with Down syndrome can they make an imprint on society. They're not a burden, and that's where part of this like ill-conceived, outdated, I keep saying stereotype is what it really is, but that kind of persists. So it's like it's great to hear stories like that because ultimately, like those are real stories and those are real people, and they're making jobs and paying taxes and like.
And he has employees.
He has employees.
He's helping people eat and take care of their families.
Wow.
And it's always crowded, especially on Sundays, because after church, everybody comes there and he hugs everybody. I'd go there. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
What was the inspiration for this story? Because you also wrote the movie.
Yeah, the real inspiration of it was I'm just fascinated by the idea of like childlike faith. And so I wanted this character to be broken and introduced to childlike faith as an adult. And so Calvin, obviously that's kind of his journey, but ultimately I needed a bearer of this childlike faith, and it made sense it could be someone with Down syndrome who the world would look at and be like, "Hey, you're too stupid to realize you shouldn't be happy. Like you just don't get it." And ultimately, Calvin, you had success in baseball. You made it to the majors. You got this beautiful daughter. Like you've had it all, but you're the one that's not getting it. And so it's about him really being introduced to it, and then how it kind of lures him, and then how suddenly he realizes, okay, that the individual with Down syndrome he actually has it more together than I do right now. My life's falling apart, yet this guy has this happiness.
That's completely how I felt when I was watching the movie. I'm like, what am I pissing and moaning about? Oh, God. Now I'm upset at myself for pissing and moaning. It's a vicious cycle,
Yes,
Chris.
it is a cycle.
Yeah.
So it goes back to that idea that happiness is a choice.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Choosing it, man.
And it's hard to choose it because you have to do the work. And when we're kids, we think that happiness comes naturally, but then as you get to be an adult and life gets harder, you do have to choose to be happy.
Sure, and I read a looking for the word, a poll. That's an easy word.
Sure.
It's just but a poll, and it was about they asked adults with Down syndrome what percentage of them were happy with their lives, and it was at 93% said they were happy. And I was like, show me a cross section of any human beings in the world where you get 93% that say they're happy with their life.
Monks.
Monks?
That's it.
I don't even know if you're going to get the monks. I don't even get the monks.
Yeah.
So what's a better close?
That's true.
So this film was brought to our attention through our buddy Ray Scalacci, a movie guy who writes for the website. And he saw it at the Phoenix Film Fest, where we were last year. And so what kind of festival run have you had, and did that help parlay into this release you're having?
Yeah, we kind of had early on we had our distribution, so we actually didn't really do a whole lot of festivals. We premiered at Dallas International Film Fest, which is one of my favorite festivals.
Are you from there?
I am from Dallas.
Oh, yeah, the home of the great Glenn Morshower.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Who was on our show a little while
I was
ago.
going to say, I'm not familiar with this Glenn.
Glenn Morshower. You ever watch 24?
Yeah, the original, back in the day?
Yeah. Aaron Pierce, the
Secret Service
guy.
I'll pull up a
He's on
I was
Bloodline
gonna say,
as
I'd
well.
have to refresh my 24 viewing to
He's on all sorts of stuff. Friend of the show who was on this show a little while back talking about his film, which ironically has a lead kid, never acted before, who had a specific ailment which lent itself to the story of the movie. It was called Flutter. And he had...
Flutter was at Dallas International Film Fest too.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I remember that.
So Glenn, who produced and starred in it, anyway, he was... that was...
Kindred Spirits.
Another
right
Dallas
on.
guy doing good. So.
There was a question. The festivals.
Yeah,
festivals.
but apparently you had distribution already.
Yeah, and so
good
but
for
the
you.
cool thing was we did. So we did submit to the Heartland Film Festival, which is essentially I would say the Sundance of like kind of family films, and we won the audience award there, it was a huge honor to get accepted there. I mean, they go through a lot of films, and it's a big deal in that world, and we won the audience award. So that was like
that's always kind of good when you win
kind
the
of put the
audience
stamp
award.
on it when we were like, okay, cool. And then since then, we just had a handful that we like Phoenix one kind of that worked out and it was an awesome festival, and so
that's a great one.
Yeah, and we already had a distribution with Lionsgate, with Roadside, and through Lionsgate, and so we kind of were just waiting for it to happen.
That's great.
And now we're out in 250 screens right now, and of course we were up against Mad Max, Pitch Perfect 2, Avengers.
Yeah, that makes it a little harder, but
you'll find your audience.
Right.
You'll find.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking about the movie Good Kill last week, the new Andrew Niccol film, who made Simone, and he wrote The Truman Show, and he's used to big movies, but this real small war film, and again, it's quite good, but you got to find it amongst Avengers and all this other stuff. So that's out there too. These indies are out there this time of year. You just got to find them, and it's tough. You got to look.
I was gonna say it's so hard too because it's true. Like up by me, where I live in Valencia, it's like one of the theaters is playing, and whatever the 12 screens has basically 3 movies. I mean, it's like there's 4 screens of Avengers, 4 screens of Mad Max, and 4 screens of Pitch Perfect. By the way, how crazy was that open? Like 70 million or whatever. Yeah. It's absurd, but it's good for them. But so ultimately, it's like you get squeezed out in these little guys. Like we even had some pre-buys, which is crazy, where we had people that were guaranteeing and pre-buying 500 tickets to get a screen, and some like in I think it was in Boston, and they still did not. They're still like, no, we still can't give you that screen, despite the fact that you have 500 tickets right here, ready to go for the weekend.
That's called contracts with the studios, I imagine, right?
Yeah,
probably
when they
superseding what's essentially a good deal right in front of them.
Yeah. So so don't go see Avengers this weekend. Go see Where Hope Grows.
Yeah. Now, you've seen it by now.
You've seen them all.
You've seen
370 million. Everyone's seen Avengers. Get on to
Don't see it again. That's what we're saying.
I don't think there's much of a crossover audience because I would go see your movie before Avengers, and I saw Avengers, but it's okay. It's not enough Iron Man.
This is counter
Your
programming.
movie could use more Iron Man.
We're just saying.
We do have a superhero figure, this almost myth of Chris Palaha. Ooh. Bart is
I do have a question, though.
Handsome man.
Is it is it safe to say, and is it something that you will wear, that this is a faith-based film? Is that a label or a tag or a description that you would accept?
It's interesting that I would accept. Yes.
And is that something that you set out to make?
Here's the deal. Like, obviously, faith-based film has negative connotation unless you're inside, unless you're on the team. Okay, I mean, like it's just like you're gonna get reviews across the board. There's gonna be people that are just gonna dog you out. By the way, the same way that I don't want someone who's a Christian to watch the film and go, oh, because I like the message, that's an amazing movie. Like I don't want someone that's just gonna hate on it because of the message. Like if they don't like the movie because of the characters, whatever, like cool, I'm down with that. But if faith-based, it is a marketing term. I mean, when you really get down to it, it's like, and it's how you mobilize. So there is a faith message with no doubt in this movie. But ultimately, it's not a message film. It's not preachy. It's not like when someone thinks of a faith-based film, it's not. This film is not that. And we've seen that across the board, meaning, we've had paid test audiences where it was if we want to call it a largely secular crowd, and we still top-lined like crazy numbers, and people were just like, oh, this is so inspirational. Like we had a call today, and we were talking to people, and she was like, I have a child with Down syndrome. I'm not a Christian. She's like, and I can't stop thinking about this film. So it's to me, it's not a movie about faith the same way it's not a movie about Down syndrome, but I feel like those are kind of organically interwoven in the characters, or like I would hope. Now, ultimately, when you talk to the church, it's like, I'll say it's faith-based because it is rooted in faith, but the stamp of like faith-based and what comes along with that, I mean, I think this is broader than that to me.
I'm just going to call it a good movie.
Thank you. That's because and I'll say this: like a lot of faith-based films are very exclusive. Yeah. So it's like if you're not on the team, you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to watch it. But I feel like ours is very inclusive. And again, we've seen that where people across the board that have no faith, some faith, a ton of faith can watch it and still pull an inspirational message or enjoy it, or they believe the characters, so they want to go on the journey. Like that's what we've seen so far. And so
I will say this, for reasons I won't explain, I thought it was going to be heavy-handed with a faith-based message, and I'm kind of waiting the whole movie, and it never happens. And I'm like, oh, And it was really interesting to see because when you compare whatever this message is and whatever faith angle it takes to any other movie, there really is no difference.
Right.
So it was really refreshing. And I also just want to go on the record as saying secular means non-religious. Non-secular means religious, which is always very confusing.
I know.
Because they're the opposite.
So whenever I heard about this movie and that it was possibly faith-based, I looked to see if Kirk Cameron was in it.
That makes
and
sense.
I was really...
Would you call him a negative connotation?
I would think so.
Karen was surprised.
No comment.
Just saying, I was glad.
Pleasantly surprised
because
he wasn't there.
Where Hope Grows will not show up at the Razzies where Cameron swept.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I did not see Kirk Cameron Saves Christmas.
I did not either. Someone did for us though, and they told the world it was really bad.
But I have heard he's a very, very nice guy.
Oh sure.
I'm sure. I look forward to him making a good movie about about what he's doing.
Someday,
but all that gets wrapped, and that's part of it. Is like it's all when you say faith-based film, like immediately it's like, or it's funny. I mean, like we got great reviews from like Variety and the Hollywood Reporter, and I was really excited about that. But then like I read the review from the New York Times, and the first line says, this is me paraphrasing, but literally the first sentence says, "Where Hope Grows starts out to be a good inspirational drama, and then God shows up."
But he does not in like this really heavy way at all.
But I think to speak to your point is automatically when some of these reviewers they see faith-based, they automatically go, oh well, let me be very keen to this, because I bet if I walked through them and watched it with them and we really watched the scenes again, like you don't even know where Calvin truly ends up at the end. Like there's not a come to Jesus moment or anything. Like it's just he's going on a journey.
Yeah,
and
there's two church
at the
scenes.
church. He's in AA more than he's in the chapel.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the Apostle had more church scenes than this one.
That's such a faith-based movie. The Apostle.
The Apostle. Yeah. There's a lot of church in that movie, right?
I'm sure New York Times killed that one too.
Well, let's go on to we ask this of every guest who comes on the show. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Wow, that is a really hard question.
That's everyone's response.
Yes.
Why we ask it.
I don't. I mean, like
no softballs here, Chris.
No.
Typically, and I don't know if this is true. I mean, I like '80s films in general, so like it's the most enjoyable film.
Of course.
You're getting close to a right answer.
Well, there was. This is ridiculous because I would go through a long line, but for some reason, and this sounds absurd, Adventures in Babysitting, while not be my favorite movie of all time, but has always stuck with me in a way that I always.
This one's going on the wall.
And revere.
Yeah, wow.
Adventures in Babysitting. However, when I look into like comedies, like Grosse Point Blank is also one of my very, very favorites.
Yes.
And then again, I can go across the board in like '80s films, like Three Amigos, and just even broader things of which time travel doesn't sound broad, but like the Back to the Future. Like there's just so many things that I'm truly a product of the '80s, and I love and cherish that feel. The feeling you guys were talking about earlier, I miss that in films. And actually, I went with Billy to watch The Karate Kid in their 25-year reunion at the.
Cool.
You got to watch Karate Kid with Lawrence,
with Johnny Lawrence.
Johnny Lawrence,
yeah, and it was cool. It was at the Japanese historical museum or whatever it is downtown.
Oh wow!
But long story short, we got to watch it on the big screen, and with an audience.
That's cool.
And it was one of the most. It was magical. Like I was giddy, man. I was laughing, I was floating, but it felt like I took a portal. Maybe I went into the TV, the Poltergeist TV, but I ended up back as a child again, and that's what I miss.
Only
when I go
this
see
time
movies
you
now.
were with your friend who was in the movie.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
But that's what I miss in a lot of movies now is I just don't leave and feel like I feel like I just had this. I don't know. I can't even describe it. It's just something. Yeah. It's bigger than the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I walk out of most movies like, okay, cool, like whatever. There's some explosions or whatever. But it's like I don't know. There's something about those '80s movies. Even though I'll click through on Amazon Prime if I'm bored, and I'll go find instead of finding a new release, like I'll go find like I'd never watched Flashdance before. I watched that pretty recently.
That's fun.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, that's good.
I just
it's about a girl trying to make her way in the world.
Thanks, honey.
With a bucket of water and dancing.
And staying moist and supple. You know what? You just made me think of something because I think what is happening in today's movies is that they're movies that aren't science fiction or that aren't otherworldly, that aren't some
aren't
spectacle.
Being released. What are you talking about?
Are too much like the real world. Like so, even a drama just feels like that's my house and that's my neighborhood because what they're trying for is to make their world as real as possible. And there was this not realness to the 80s movies. This otherworldly. Yeah, it looked like a mall and it looked like a house, but there was something different about it that allowed you to leave where you were in your time and place and go into that movie and go, hey, I'm going to live in that world. It's a different world.
A perfect example of this, just the perfect microcosm of it is the dance scene at the end of Footloose.
Yes.
is the most absurd high school dance in the history of the world, but it is amazing.
Yeah.
And you so bad want to be at that dance, but it's just like glitter's falling, and it's like these crazy line dances, and it's just, but it's not.
And everyone who doesn't know how to dance at all is suddenly like
doing choreography.
A 10 out of 10. Yeah.
Oh, I love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and there's moments in that movie that I just well up. Little things like when you go through the whole film, I hadn't watched it in a while, and I went through the whole film.
Spoilers?
No, just like little things, like whenever what's his name?
Whenever he dies at the end, you know.
Whenever Dell says, "I like me, my wife likes me," I just start to tear up. I'm like, because I know what's going on, and I'm like, oh my god, and the other guy's being such a dick.
Well, speaking of John Hughes, I may make a
John
recommendation
Hughes.
for you.
Oh, yeah?
It's a 2015 movie called The Duff.
Okay.
Oh, it's great.
Duff is...
It's really great.
I've heard of it.
Duff is...
I loved it.
What is it called?
The
Designated
ugly fat friend.
Right. And it's given to this girl who then has this quest to find out why she's called the designated ugly fat friend. She looks around. She has two super hot best friends and, wants to shake that image. But it reeks of John Hughes.
Yeah, and there's homage
First of all,
to John Hughes.
It's not completely filthy, like they didn't go American Pie with it. It's just a good, strong teen comedy about characters. There's a huge house party. Always John Hughes with the big house parties, and there's the classifications of right out of Breakfast Club of all the different kinds of students there are, and she finds herself in this classification, and they all sort of do battle. And I recommend that.
I'm in.
You'll get that 80s feel.
It's great.
I think.
I'll go get it.
I started to cry when she started to do a 16 candle thing. I was like, oh my god.
And there's some pretty pink in there. It's all great.
I'm like, yeah.
Another just. Since we're in Where Hope Grows.
Since we're talking about movies,
I was gonna say 80s trivia tidbit is Clyde Jones, who plays the manager, the store manager. If you recall, that would kind of give Protus a hard time.
Yeah.
In Coming to America.
Oh yes.
Soul Glow, Eric LaSalle's company.
Yeah.
There's a commercial they had with the
Keep
guy with
talking.
crunchy hair who's doing the Soul Glow, and he's kind of doing this in it. That's Clyde Jones.
That's great.
Yeah.
Soul Glow.
Yeah, that was a bonus. I didn't even realize that when I cast him, and then I was like, "This is amazing," because we have Winnie Cooper at one point sitting bedside, married to Johnny Lawrence from The Karate Kid, which is enough to just blow it.
Yeah, that's an 80s gasm right there, just like.
All right, well, let's get from
and they're both very attractive people.
Yes.
They are. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Danica McKellar.
And she's not in it enough in this movie for just Danica.
Danica?
That's just your.
And she wears way too many clothes.
She's not in anything enough.
Let me
I
explain.
guess the question is Chris Palaha in it enough for you?
Barely.
All right, it's time for What Did You See This Week? I think we can do a real quick round of this. What did you see this week? Anybody want to chime in?
I do. I want to chime because I saw what I thought was a really good movie.
Uh-oh.
And kind of a brave movie, kind of an interesting movie.
Did you leave your house to see this movie?
I did not.
He doesn't do that anymore.
This was a TNT something special.
Oh, okay.
50 First Dates. Look at this. All
right.
That is a really good movie. Wow. I was charmed by it the entire time.
Is that because there's 50 topless girls?
No.
I didn't see that one. I need to see that one. No, wait, that is the one I was watching. You're right.
Is it the same date over and over, or is it 50 different dates?
Barrymore.
It's Drew Barrymore, Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
I really was just smitten by that movie the whole time.
It didn't win me like a Wedding Singer did. But
love that movie.
Yeah. I feel like that was the Adam Sandler movie I watched where I started going, the decline was happening. Well,
there's something that happens in Adam Sandler movies that I think you have to just accept, and he kind of feels like he kind of makes all his movies with a small wink to the audience that we're just being goofy, and let's not get too serious. But I thought the premise of the movie was very, very interesting because there is that time where they pretend the day is the same day over and over again, and at the beginning of the movie you're like, well, there's no way they can pull this off, and it immediately it stops. I mean, they get caught. They eventually get caught, and so the movie's about how do you deal with this after the fact that you're caught pretending that this day is happening to this woman over and over again, and then how do you overcome that? I thought it was a very clever, very.
I have to admit, I don't remember that movie being bad. I just don't remember it.
I think my problem was I watched it solo, and if I had like a girlfriend with me or something, like to me that would have made a difference. Like, kind of getting the vibe. But
he's probably watching it quiet by himself too.
With commercials.
Never mind, I'm sure he did.
I watched it twice, like back to back, because they just repeated it. I'm like, I'm not getting off the sofa. That bottle of gin still got something in it.
On that note, I saw a faith-based movie that would not be said as much, would not be advertised, but I believe that you could get behind it. Paula took me for my birthday to see Cinderella. I loved it.
That's
it was
faith-based?
so in a way it is. We all know the story about Cinderella. She's treated crappy by her stepmother.
Oh wait, is this the new Cinderella?
Yeah, with the really skinny girl.
Yep.
It's kind of an origin story for Cinderella. I think it's important, and it really gives a lot of motivation to some of the characters that we don't know why the stepmother is awful to her, and we don't know why the stepsisters are awful. We don't really know what happened to her mom or her dad. Well, we meet all these people. And the mother was the one who said to Cinderella, because Cinderella had a pretty badass, kick-ass childhood before she lost her mother and father. Yeah. So when she's being, abused and mistreated, it's really horrible because she thinks back to, wow, people used to love me and treat me nice. So this really sucks. But Cinderella was told by her mother to always be kind and be brave. And if you just are kind and brave, then it's much like choosing happiness. You will find a way and things will work out for you, even though it may be shitty right at the moment. But just be kind to people who are evil to you because they have their own demons, and be brave and show up even though you want to hide. And I thought that was a great message, and she does that, and you watch the stepsisters be nasty to her, and instead of being nasty back, she just waits and gets them what they need, and is kind to them even though they're not kind to her.
And even though it's magical in this movie, there is a reward that comes to you for doing this kind of behavior.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a
it's
moment.
a fairy godmother, but you may get that in the real world, but in the story.
But there's
Jesus, a fairy godmother, it's the same thing.
Only Jesus does not have as nice a dresses as fairy godmother does.
He could if he wanted.
Oh my God. And by the way, the dress was its own character. I'm looking at the dress, and Paul looks over. I'm like, the dress is perfect.
Yeah.
It's so perfect.
Costume design was out of hand for that movie.
Oh my God, it's so good. But there's a moment in the movie where Cinderella is up in the attic, and so the prince and everybody comes to look for Cinderella. Where is she? And they have the shoe. And so the mean stepmother, who was fantastic, by the way, gorgeous, but just a horrible person, which makes her ugly.
Kate Blanchett.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So they bring Cinderella down, and she's just in rags. And before she walks in to meet the prince, she just kind of looks in the mirror, and she just looks like a mess. She's not the big, beautiful, transformed princess. And she just has to... I can't remember how they word it,
The
but
fairy
she
godmother
said...
said, and now she'll be the bravest she's ever been. She'll have to be herself.
She has to be herself. Without anything to cover up who she is.
The movie's unapologetically
It's so
a fairy
good!
tale, and quite successfully.
And she
so.
walks in 100% herself, being kind and brave, and he loves her not because she's gorgeous, but because she's...
Spoiler. Got a big rack?
Cinderella!
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's Cinderella,
It's really great.
But I'll add one last thing to that, then get on to the next movie, is that in having her have to follow her mother's wishes, or want to follow her mother's advice on life to always be kind and be courageous, it gives her something to do and something to be. So it's not just, wow, my life stinks. Oh, Prince Charming, help me. I mean, she's actually having to do things and behave certain ways to achieve what she wants.
And we know
I like that.
The reason she puts up with it, which they never tell you, is because her mother and father made that house. That was the house she grew up in. Her mother and father loved the house, and she wanted to keep it up. So whenever everybody else stopped doing their chores and stuff, of course she did the laundry and cleaned it and took care of it. And when they made a mess, she took care of the house because it's her family's house. It's been with them for hundreds of years. So it would make sense that she would mop and clean and take the firewood and do all that stuff while the other people just sat around eating bonbons. You know what I'm saying?
Kenneth Branagh got it done.
Great movie!
Yeah, good movie.
Anyway.
And then I'll lastly say Welcome to Me with Kristen Wiig was very, very bad.
Oh, really?
I haven't given a bad review in here in a while.
That.
We're not seeing a lot of the
forgot.
stuff that I heard was bad. Also, that's the good thing about this show.
So disappointing.
We only see what we want. Talk about everything anyway.
I wanted it to be good, and it didn't do anything.
I didn't realize it was out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wants to say something about someone with multiple personality, not multiple personality disorder. She has some sort of disorder.
Yeah, mood disorder, right?
It doesn't.
Bipolar
it doesn't.
depression?
It wants to
Doesn't
be
take
hilarious.
care
It
of
doesn't.
that.
It's weird for weird's sake, and it kind of just floats in a whole sort of. Isn't this weird? Isn't this funny because it's weird and it's not?
I expect an Adam McKay to say something about what we're doing to people on reality TV.
Oh.
And he didn't say
Yeah,
anything.
he produced that, and I wish he had more of a say.
thought he'd
'cause
have
he
a
probably
voice.
would've.
Do you see anything, Chris?
I saw. I think The Lone Survivor was the last thing I kind of saw this week, which was
That movie's got bark on it.
awesome.
That's hard.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so much better. To me, it was so much better than American Sniper. Like I didn't care for American Sniper that much, and
I'll agree with you on that.
Lone Survivor was outstanding. Like I mean, it really was. And
Refresh me on this one.
It's the Mark Wahlberg one.
Oh,
where
yes,
he's
yes.
fighting down at. But yeah, I mean, it was. It's Peter Berg and it
Lone
was
Survivor,
just-
man. I love that movie.
He's always out of breath.
But it was great. And it was one of those cool things where like I checked on like Hollywood versus I think it's Hollywood versus History or History versus Hollywood website, and it was like pretty legit. Like because it's like it's so absurd what you hear what he goes through, and like because he's rolling down this mountain, he's been shot like 30 times or whatever it is, but he really did like have these insane injuries, and like these guys that really gave their life up. Like some things that almost felt too heroic in the film. When I looked it up, I was like, oh, that was legit. Like that dude really did that. Like.
It's a microcosm of the big picture of war. And to see these guys, like 4 dudes fall down this hill, escaping gunfire. Not entirely, still getting hit, but hitting rocks on the way down. And they're covered in gear, and they're just banged up and bloody. And they see one of their guys at the top of the hill, and they're like, we got to go get him. I mean, it's just hardcore.
Is that Mark at the top? Mark at the top?
No.
You got to go get Mark?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, but it was actually.
I'd go get Mark.
They'll go get anybody. If it's their brother, they're going to go get him.
get
And it doesn't matter how. And they're all like, looking to see what kind of.
Is it Private Ryan? Private Ryan's at the top?
Yeah, how much like bullets they have left and whatever, and their hands are all mangled and they're bloody.
But even at the end, I mean, again, there's a very because no spoilers, right? We don't do spoilers here, so but there's
try not to. But it's called Lone Survivor.
Well, we do know that Cinderella.
The movie's called Penn and Teller Get Killed. I think I know how it ends.
But there is a very the person that truly rescues even Mark Wahlberg is such a surprise in the film, and it actually legitimately was also real, where it seems almost like a Hollywood story. It's remarkable.
I'm gonna have to watch this now.
Yeah, it's good.
Here's what we're gonna do.
I mean, there's 51st dates.
I was gonna say,
to
make a
watch.
deal. We'll make a deal. I'll watch your Lone Survivor. You give another look at 51st dates. And,
After the
bring your
duff.
girl or your wife and
I'll
your
bring my wife
girlfriend
this time.
Bring both of them.
Bring both your girlfriend and your wife.
All right, it's time for the grand finale or finale. It's time for the celebration of the birthdays of those who make the movies. It's time for Karen's birthdays. Here we go.
All right.
Do you need this?
No, I got this one.
Oh, okay.
Let's start off our week of birthdays by wishing a very happy birthday to Miss Tina Fey.
Happy birthday, Tina Fey.
Yay, Tina. She turns 45, but can play anywhere from a comedian to a humanitarian. Tina studied the Second City in Chicago about the same time as Paul, Adam, and I were there. And I think we watched her when she got her big start on the main stage. I believe we were there when that all happened, and then she went off to Saturday Night Live. And Paul, here's something I found a little bit interesting. Yes, what's
There's
happening?
a fun fact about.
Oh, you didn't
this
know that fun fact?
No, you're gonna gloss over the big fun fact.
I have a fun fact. Paul and I were engaged at the time, and so Paul threw a engagement party for me at like a bridal shower type thing. And he went through my Rolodex of all the people that I knew, and Tina Fey was in there because she was my coach at the time. So I show up to a surprise party for my wedding, and there's Tina Fey. So that was exciting. She gave me, I think, a water pitcher and a bowl.
That is the coolest story. I love that story.
Nice lady. She was awesome.
I've never had a bridal shower or Tina Fey show up at my house.
You'll have a bridal shower one.
You'll have a bridal
thank
shower,
you,
and I'll make sure I invite Tina.
PMA, positive mental attitude.
Here's something else.
I predict one day that Bart Caius Palaha will one day have a bridal shower.
And we'll invite Amy Poehler as well as Tina Fey.
Wow.
Sure. Here's something I found kind of interesting is that Tina was quoted. I always like to go to IMDb because, I don't know, maybe it's BS there, but at least they can take it down if they want to. So she must have read it at some point. She said, I am obsessed with things like strippers and Playboy playmates. I'm obsessed with portraying that and how grim I think it is. Remember Stephanie Weir? I think we saw this scene that Tina's going to refer to. She did the best version of a sketch that I've ever seen about figuring out how to come up with that relationship of a stripper. She did it perfectly, playing a stripper at a bachelor party who had to bring her kid because the babysitter fell through. The discomfort of that really makes me laugh. And I swear to God, when she said that, I think we saw that sketch.
I think so too, yeah.
Oh my God, so fun. So weird. But anyway, fun fact. Also, Paul and Lee, now I want you guys in
Bart?
Bart. Oh my God, I wrote Lee on here. You guys can
Did
tell
you actually
me-
write it down?
Yeah, I wrote the wrong name. But let me hear what you think about this. She was talking about when she dressed as Princess Leia once for a costume in a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Hubba hubba.
Yeah, this is what she's saying. She goes, you put that costume on and you put on that wig and the nerds go bananas.
Wait. Slave Leia or just robe Leia?
I think robe Leia.
Robe Leia. I don't know about robe
People
Leia.
were just staring at me in the hall. All the extras in the background people, the nerds, they all wanted to talk to me all of a sudden. Guys have a real weird thing for that outfit.
She was quite the quintessential woman for a lot of men my age and that, you know.
I do know for a fact that when she was doing when the real Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, was doing the screen test, she came in with the costume on, and poor friggin' George Lucas, such a nerd, he immediately goes, "Oh, you look good, but in space they don't wear underwear."
God, that's like the creepiest thing you could say. You know, no bras in space. No bras in space.
If you look closely, there's no bras in space.
I would love for him to walk me through that logic. As a matter of fact, in space, you need as much support in keeping things where they need to be as possible. There's no gravity in space.
I know. You need all the help you can get.
Your boobs are going to be in your face.
Aunt Beru, too? Mothman?
Yes. Well, maybe the older women have bras. And let's move on. Next up, let's wish a very happy birthday to Mr. Bill Paxton.
Oh.
He turned 60, but can play anywhere from mellow to chill. We here at the Movie Guys have a Movie Guysopedia term called the Paxton. A Paxton refers to any actor whose dominant characteristic in his or her ability to do anything. Wait, is there? Can I start that over?
You can.
A Paxton refers to any actor whose dominant characteristic is his or her inability to do anything which threatens to upstage a shitload of Hollywood's best explosions and special effects. So when an actor is in a movie, he doesn't pull focus away from the special effects, and that would be a Paxton.
Mm-hmm. See Bill Pullman.
Right.
See Matthew Broderick in Godzilla, etc.
Sure. So, can you mention...
Paul Rudd in anything?
I have a couple list of movies here. Now, you guys being the Movie Guys, can you tell me which movies Bill Paxton has done a Paxton in? Can you give me at least 3 or 4?
This is not a multiple choice?
Well, Twister.
No. Twister, of course, yep.
Twister.
I mean, does Edge of Tomorrow count?
I'd put Edge of Tomorrow because there are special effects in that.
Weird Science?
I didn't put Weird Science, but it could be.
Okay.
I do have Aliens down here. Titanic.
Oh, Aliens.
I mean,
yeah.
Titanic, a whole boat goes down, but we're not so upset, you know, because Bill
Yeah,
Paxton's
should have just run
there.
through the Cameron catalog there first.
I have Aliens.
Bill Paxton's in Titanic.
Wait, does True Lies count?
True Lies, sure.
Yeah.
That sort of counts because there's a lot of blowing up and whatnot.
Yeah, but not a Simple Plan.
I also, no, not a Simple Plan, and I put Stripes. Because even when Bill Paxton's there, he doesn't deter from my boyfriend, Bill Murray.
He's in Stripes?
Yeah, it's a really tiny part.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that funny?
I've gone on record as being
Yes.
a
Man in Love with Titanic.
Man in Love with
Yes.
Titanic. Where's Bill Paxton in Titanic?
He's the whole guy going down to the bottom to get
Yeah,
it.
he's the reason it happens
He's
to
the
begin
researcher
with.
who takes Gloria Stewart's character down there.
Oh my goodness, it totally... I'm like,
And
yeah.
guess what? You didn't notice him because he didn't take away from the special effects.
Brilliant work, Bill. Brilliant work.
And also, I just found this interesting. Paul, you give an example of other actors who can pull a Paxton, and you
Yeah.
said Matthew Broderick in Godzilla.
Did.
Well, ironically, according to my definition of a Paxton, we know that could also be Matthew Broderick, who Bill Paxton turned down that role in Godzilla.
There you go.
And they gave it to Matthew Broderick, which I find funny.
You know what, Karen? We actually have... because your birthday's this week as well.
Yes, it is.
So
It was yesterday.
got on the voicemail here a call
What?
from Bill Paxton.
Shut up.
Let me play what he said.
Hey, Karen, this is Bill Paxton calling. You know, it's my birthday today, and I hear it's your birthday as well. So I was just calling to wish you a happy birthday. And, you know, when it's my birthday, I know it's always filled with all kinds of excitement. And I just hope that your
He's so
birthday
excited.
is as exciting as mine is. Hey, you know what else is exciting? Tornadoes. Did you know that a tornado can produce winds of over 230 miles per hour? No, I actually just made that up. I don't know. I've never chased tornadoes. I've never done anything that exciting in my life. But anywho, have a happy and exciting birthday, Karen. Bye.
Wow.
Kind of a thrill,
I'm
huh?
so Lucky.
What a thrill that is.
I never realized that.
You know, he sounded a little excited.
That's as excited as he sounds.
When he gets really charged up like that. That was very nice. Thank you, Bill Paxton, for calling me for my birthday.
I never realized how much Bill Paxton sounds like Bill Paxton.
It's weird. Yeah, he sounds just like one of my friends. Yeah. It's odd.
Never noticed that before.
Never noticed that. Lastly, let's wish a very happy birthday to Trent Reznor, the lead singer of Nine Inch Nails, who turns 50. Why are rock stars turning 50? How does that happen?
Yeah.
Why does that
seriously.
happen?
And when did they start announcing this?
Yeah.
That's young compared to your Van Halens and whatnot.
And
your Van Halens and your Stones and
your Aerosmiths
performing and touring.
Yeah.
Did you know he can play anywhere from an industrial rock singer to an Oscar award winner? Does
Yeah.
anybody
Whoa,
know?
no.
Where did he win the Oscar?
I will tell you.
Best achievement in musical written for a motion picture for original score. Go.
The Social Network.
Nice. Isn't
Chris
that
and
cool? Now, however, he won that Oscar, but he was nominated for 2 others. Do you know which other movies nominated?
Happy Feet?
No. Close.
Gone Girl?
Gone Girl, right? And
Ooh,
another
very
dark,
nice.
brooding movie.
Well, the girl with the dragon tattoo?
Yes.
Yeah.
See?
He's pretty much just doing the Fincher films from here.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. So,
And rightfully so.
you know, Bart.
Yes.
I got it right. You know how much I love when celebrities sing.
This is true. People
Yes.
ask me, can you tell me 2 interesting things about Karen? And I say, well, she does shed a little bit, but she's hypoallergenic.
Yes.
And she loves when celebrities sing.
I do love when celebrities sing, and I also love when celebrities who can sing really well sing.
Ooh.
So we're going to hear a little bit. I love this. He did this for David Fincher's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Trent Reznor is going to recreate Zeppelin's classic tune, The Immigrant Song. This is pretty badass. And should I break out the cake?
Sure.
Undocumented song is what it's called.
The Dreamers song.
Oh, wait, we are getting cake. Holy balls.
What we have here is a cake for, it's a Millennium Falcon cake. Kind of.
Damn straight
It's
it
supposed
is.
to look like the Millennium Falcon. It was kind of difficult to keep it Millennium Falcon-y. All right, this is a great song. But finally, let's wish a very happy birthday to Karen Volpe, who turns timeless.
Thank you.
But can
She
also
turned
play,
gorgeous today.
Thank you.
She can also play anywhere from a movie gal to a boubet sister.
Oh, thanks,
You
Steve Scholes.
may remember Karen's various appearances here on the Movie Guys, offering her perspective on films, and from her stage appearances around Southern California in Funny Girl or Little Shop of Horrors, playing Fanny Bryce and Audrey. We know her as probably the most essential element of the show, prepping the Admiral's Club for a shoot every week, helping secure guests, adding special extra touches like food
Like cakes shaped sort of like the Millennium Falcon.
and decor like our crazy signs and stuff.
Space
when we do
cake.
that.
Space cake.
Love a space cake.
As well as writing and co-hosting every week. We love her and
let's
wish
do
her a
this.
very happy birthday.
Thank
oh,
you, guys.
sliced right down the middle of that Millennium
Well-
Falcon. Did we get enough pictures of that before?
Yeah, sure. Uh-oh, did
It's on
we?
video.
Yeah.
It's on video, all right.
And of course, we all know how much
we
Karen
go.
loves when celebrities sing. Well,
I do.
she's a celebrity from
Oh,
where we're
dear
sitting.
God.
So
What
here's a
are you
little
gonna
Karen
play?
Volpe from her album Dinner in a
Oh,
Fancy
good, okay.
Dress.
So it's been recorded
Available on
properly.
iTunes and CD Baby. This is a tune called I Drink Because I Love You, written by the great Chuck Pelletier and performed by celebrity Karen Volpe.
Thank you.
Chocolate cake with
There you go.
white ice.
Got it. Perfect.
Good enough for you? What?
You made this?
Well, I started making the cake, and Karen picked up after that.
It's okay.
I'm one of those guys who like, hey, I'll make dinner, and I start boiling water. Then I go and work or something, and then Karen puts something in the water, and a meal is made.
And that's why I drink, because I love you.
There you go. Well, hey, that makes for another movie showcast. Together we are Bart
Here, Bobby.
Together we're the Movie Guys. Individually we're that. Oh, we screwed up. We're busy eating.
We're eating cake.
You can follow us on Twitter at The Movie Guys for daily jokes and links. Also, Facebook.com/The Movie Guys, as well as iTunes, Vimeo, YouTube, Funny or Die, SoundCloud, Vine, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that. Thanks to Chris Dowling.
Yay, Chris Dowling.
Where can we follow you? You got social media going?
I don't have any social media.
Oh, you don't?
I'm that guy.
Does Where Hope Grows have a...
Yeah, I mean, our Facebook...
Or the page, even?
Yeah, our Facebook page is really big. We got like 500,000 likes, and it's just Where Hope Grows. / Where Hope Grows.
There you go.
/ backslash, some slash, which one is it?
Just search it.
Hey,
it'll
search
come
Where
up.
Hope Grows. You'll find us. We're there somewhere.
Also, thanks to Steve Schultz for his writing contributions to the show every week, and Bill Paxton or Scott Stoddard for
Right.
calling in. And as always, we owe everything to Pat Peach. And remember, you can always find everything we're up to at themovieguys.net. Next week, we're talking about 2012 or The Day After Tomorrow or San Andreas. One of those. We'll see you then.
Because I love you.